Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about round 8 and looking forward to another big 9 round game ahead. But of course, as we start off every week, we're going to look back at some of the round 7 big guns and a few of the guys I thought did really well over the last weekend. So starting off at the top there, Lockie Neal, huge match at home against Adelaide, 159 for him, and Scott Pendlebury winding back the clock for almost 40 or 42 disposals, 43 almost, I think. 153 for him against Essendon. Tristan Sherry came back in last week and absolutely dominated Nick Madden at the Giants' home ground. Got 145 on return, smashing it out. Shai Bolton and Luke Jackson for Freo at home against Carlton, dominating again. Luke Jackson's on some kind of tear the last few weeks. And yeah, Shai Bolton pulling it out. 130 plus for both of those guys. Nick Dacos, good matchup again against Essendon. Huge day for him, 135. Same for Sam Walsh there as well at Freo in Optus Stadium. Walsh putting on a good show. I think it was 35 disposals, absolutely dominating in the middle. One of the main guys for Carlton on the weekend. So good to see Walshy coming good. Archie Roberts still doing what he's doing best this season, hitting those high marks, getting lots of junk in the back half for Essendon, and has really come into his own this year. Another 130 plus score for him. Isaiah Pickett against Richmond was absolutely lighting it up again. 131 for him. Same with Will Ashcroft at home against Adelaide. So as you can see from a lot of these matchups on the right, guys, that's where it's at. A lot of these teams, whether it's at home or just that easy bunny team to hit up against, most of these guys are hitting those high marks against some good matchups this week. So Brisbane at home against Adelaide, dominating for Will Ashcroft. Another one there, Jack Crisp for Collingwood against Essendon. Essendon back to, a little bit of wayward form last week and plenty of people turning up against them. So Jack Crisp, 127. Zach Bailey, also 127. Brisbane again, coming home at the Gabba and dominating against Adelaide. So good to see a few Lions getting up. And then Callum Wilkie doing, he's a top 5 player this year. It's been incredible. I don't know where this has come from, just given the captaincy and bumped up his average by 20 or 30 this year. So another 120 plus score for Callum Wilkie. And I think that was after he was on like 10 at quarter time. And then he came out and had like a dozen marks in the second half to get 120 against West Coast again. So matchups, guys. Get those C's or VCs on good matchups for the week ahead. Adelaide, Essendon, Richmond, West Coast. Plenty of good teams to match up against and get good captain scores against. These guys went big last week. And a few others there that I thought, there was like 50 plus tons last week. It was incredible. So many tons came up. But here's a few I thought that maybe we weren't expecting last week. Maybe they came out of nowhere. And I just hadn't seen these people put the triple digits up for a while. So Chad Warner getting back to some good form with Isaac Heaney out, Errol Goulden obviously out. So he was in the middle, junking it up. 121 for him. Carl Amon setting the clock back after a pretty wayward year for him. He got right back up to the ton. Plenty of kick-ins, plenty of junk, plenty of marks in the back half for Carl Amon against Gold Coast. Tom Sparrow doing it again. I think that's like his third time in my favourite players list this season. He goes up and he comes back down and he goes back up again with a good matchup against Richmond. 119 for Tom Sparrow. Lincoln McCarthy bringing it back. He was getting back in defense as well, getting a bit of junk. And again, against Adelaide, good matchups again for some of these guys. Brisbane at home in particular. Feel like that's going to be good for the next few weeks. Brisbane coming good finally. A few forwards here though. Georgiades putting on a show against Geelong at home. Port has come good the last couple of weeks, and Georgiades kicked like 10 scoring shots on the weekend. He had like 6 behinds, but then kicked a couple straight in the last half, and put it up to 116 in the end for Mitch Georgiades. Charlie Curnow, incredible, came out and managed to kick 6. Again, thought it might have been tough matchup, but then I looked at all the key defensive outs for the Dogs, and just they have no height in their back half right now, the Dogs. And I was having a crazy time watching that on the weekend. Kerno kicked 6, and the Dogs' key defensive stocks are decimated. So full forwards against the Dogs right now actually hitting pretty hard. And Kerno came back and hit 115 last week. Jace Burgoyne on the wing and a bit of defense for the Power. It's getting everywhere. 112 points for him on the weekend. Same with Hugo Garcia, who has really come into his own this year, averaging into the 80s this year, which is awesome. He's turned up a couple of times now. Bit of a reshuffle with the Saints midfield, I think, and a decent matchup against West Coast. A couple of St Kilda players did all right last week. So him, 112. And Jack Carroll as well, getting plenty of junk in the back half, I thought, against West Coast again. So a good matchup there. 106 for Carroll. Joe Richards doing very well against Geelong. Joe Richards has been like in another realm this year. It feels out of nowhere. He's coming up to be like a top 20 forward this year, it feels. And yeah, he's been turning up a bit on the wing, and 106 for him in the end against Geelong last week. So even against a tough matchup, but at home, Joe Richards getting it done. Port Adelaide getting it done. Corey Wagner for Fremantle. One that was a bit out of nowhere on the weekend, but again, another reasonable matchup for the Fremantle Dockers at home against a wayward Carlton. A couple of these guys, yeah, out of nowhere, turning up for the Dockers. Corey Wagner, well done. Jake Lloyd, again, winding it back for the Swans on the weekend, bringing some experience. He's got that forward status. Again, Western Bulldogs defensive stocks are a bit wayward at the moment, especially the tall stocks. But Jake Lloyd seems to be sifting through and dominating recently. Got 103 on the weekend. Josh Dunkley on this list because, we all thought maybe he would be turning up a bit more by now, but I think that's his first ton for the year. He's been very, very slack to start the year. Finally got some tackles going. 9 tackles in the end for Dunkley in the end on the weekend, and just reaching that ton mark. And I was very, very happy as a Dunkley owner. Mateus Philippou dominating for the Saints. Got very busy in the second half there. 103 for him. Willem Dersma, again, has been amazing to start the season. Only a few games in, he's already turning up against, reasonable matchups, I guess. But good to see Willem Dersma getting busy and really showing some Bont vibes early. Jordan Sweet, 101 for him against a good matchup. Geelong Rucks, pretty poor. I think it was Mitch Edwards, and a few injuries in the Rucks there for the Cats. So Jordan Sweet in a good matchup against Cats Rucks. And finally there, Isaac Quaynor. Going up, going down every which week, but this week it was up, and he got 99 in the end. And I thought that was pretty good. He's been one waiting to take a bit more responsibility, and he's getting a bit of it this year. Again, good matchup against Essendon, so nice stuff from Isaac Quaynor there. But 50 plus tons for the weekend, guys. It was crazy, and I can't believe how big of scores we got at the end. There was some serious junk happening on the weekend in round 7. As we look ahead to this week, guys, tonight is a good matchup. It's one of the biggest matchups, I reckon. Collingwood versus Hawthorn at the G. And it's going to be exciting. Nick Dacos, obviously, going to have his hands full with the mighty fighting Hawks. Good stuff for the Hawks at the moment. But fantasy-wise, been seeing some big scores from the Pies. So expecting a fantastic game tonight. Interesting ruck matchup there. Cameron and Steen versus Meek and Reeves. Interesting one. And then, a few ins for the Pies. I think Ned Long's back. Pendle's taking a break. And a few ins for the Hawks as well. Sicily and Moore coming back. So, good one tonight. Going for the Hawks, but I do think it's going to be a very, very close game tonight. Collingwood has been a bit wayward. Hawthorn has been on song. So, I've heard Pies fans are a bit scared, but I don't like to say that. So we'll see how it goes tonight. But I will be watching that tonight here on this channel. You can see by the tick there, all the ones I'm watching this weekend. Thursday night, Hawks vs Pies. I'll be there tonight. So come and join me here, watching the stats and seeing the game play out and chatting in the chat. So come and join me tonight for that one. Friday night, Western Bulldogs, Fremantle, and Adelaide Crows versus Port in the Adelaide match. The big, what do they call it? I can't remember what the Adelaide clash. Yeah, the Adelaide Oval clash is happening tonight. So I think I'm gonna on Friday. Sorry, I'm gonna prioritize that one because I reckon everyone's gonna be watching the Adelaide Showdown. That's the one. Showdown is on tomorrow night. But I think the Western Bulldogs versus Freo is going to be interesting as well. We'll see if Team English can come back. Bond's been all right. A bit off a couple of weeks ago, but back to it last week. Yeah, the midfield at the Dogs a bit wayward. Defenders a bit wayward. So we'll see how the Dogs can match up against surging Fremantle Dockers on the weekend. Yeah, Luke Jackson's in some kind of form, so we'll see how he goes, especially if we'll see if Tim English is there or not. Adelaide Crows versus Port, going to be a big one. Jordan Dawson in the middle against Zach Butters. Big match up there. Port has been in some pretty good form the last couple of weeks, and Adelaide has not, to be simple. Crows have been a bit off the mark the last couple of weeks, especially in second halves. So I'm expecting Port to get up, but should be a fiery one at Adelaide Oval on Friday night. Saturday, we've got 4 games, starting it off with Essendon versus Brisbane at the MCG. And expecting Brisbane to have a big day there against the Bombers. Bombers have been putting up a little bit of fight some weeks, but last week they showed that they can still fall apart in the second half. And Brisbane put on an absolute show last week, so expecting them to run riot. West Coast versus Richmond at Optus Stadium in the early afternoon there. I'll probably start watching that one. 3 or 4 in the afternoon. We'll kick on with that to start my Saturday. And bit of a toilet bowl in a lot of normies' eyes, but fantasy coaches' eyes know that West Coast versus Tigers is still a decent day out for fantasy coaches. Expecting, Willem Dersma to have some fun, Harley Reid to have some fun at Optus Stadium. I'm actually expecting the Eagles to get up, which is a weird thing to say. They've done it once or twice this year at home against the Richmond Tigers, who hopefully will put up a fight. Would like to see Kane McAuliffe in there with Lalore, and hopefully Taranto comes back for that one as well. The ruck matchup's going to be weird in that one. Is Bailey Williams going to have a day out against a Nankervis-less Richmond Tigers? We'll see. But West Coast Eagles possibly getting the win on the weekend. Should be an interesting one to start my Saturday. Geelong versus North just after that at GMHBA Stadium. So Cats home ground against North Melbourne, who, did it tough last week. Felt like they could have had the win. And Geelong coming off a big loss last week as well. So I'm sure they'll be looking to set the record straight this week. Bailey Smith, expecting a big week from him. And Tristan Sherry should get big in the ruck against Mitch Edwards, in the ruck. So see how that one goes. Should be a big day out for the Cats. Hopefully some forwards can do well for us there. Carlton Blues versus St Kilda Saints on Saturday night at Marvel Stadium. I think that'll be a good matchup. Expecting the Saints to get up, to be honest, but Carlton should put up a bit of a fight this week. Got their midfield going a bit last week. Sam Walsh getting busy, but St Kilda has been one of the best fantasy scoring teams for the year. Naz, Sinclair, Wilkie, some of their midfielders popping off now, like Hugo Garcia, Mateus Philippou. There's a lot of tons and a lot of ball happening at the Saints, I feel. So that's going to be a really interesting one, and we'll see if Carlton can play 4 quarters for the first time this year. I doubt it. But it's been tough for them, and hopefully we'll see. Usually it's the midfielders at Carlton getting it done. I'd like to see Jagger Smith turning up for once. But should be a bit of a back and forth Carlton versus St Kilda on Saturday night. And then 2 games on the Sunday. Got 3 Southeast teams. Got Sydney versus Demons first up at the SCG. Demons been all right the last couple of weeks. Cozzy Pickett's been lining it up. Going to see a huge ruck matchup in Grundy versus Gawn. And Sydney Swans probably going to get Heaney back as well this week. And he's probably going to fire on all cylinders, kick 2 or 3 against the Demons at home, I'm expecting. Some midfielders there from last week doing pretty well. Chad Warner kicked on. Sheldrick would like to see him kick on a bit more. And then, Demons Gawn versus Grundy is going to be very interesting. Last time they played, you'd think going ahead against one another, they'd be maybe lower scores. But last time they played each other, both of these guys went 135 plus. So don't get too worried that it's a big matchup, Gawn against Grundy or Grundy against Gawn. I think they're both going to have at it. And last time there was something like 90 hitouts between them, 40 disposals. It was crazy. So I'm expecting something similar this week. And I'll be there for that one first thing on Sunday. So please come and join me for that big matchup. And finally, the final game of the week, nice Southeast contest there. Gold Coast Suns versus the Giants. Suns have been off the mark the last couple of weeks, suffering some pretty annoying losses, and they're falling down the ladder a bit now. And Giants finally getting another win last week, so maybe they're hitting some form. Interesting in the middle there for the Giants. Callahan's been a bit off. Oliver's probably been the best one in the middle for them. And yeah, their ruck situation's a bit weird with Madden against Wits on the weekend. Going to be a weird one. I like Madden. Had a tough week against Grundy last week, I think. So against Wits, he's in a little bit of form himself, but I reckon Nick Madden will have a bit of a better day out on the weekend. Even though Kieran Briggs did pretty well in the VFL. We'll see how teams go tonight. The midfield at the Suns has been weird. Noah Anderson not doing a whole lot this year, is he? A little bit better last week, but yeah, just not hitting those high marks. Matt Rowell, Christian Petrarca, Tuke Miller, just feels like it's not fitting how it used to. Like these guys aren't hitting their big high marks like they used to. Noah Anderson, Matt Rowell, they're just scraping in for a ton, maybe 2 or 3 of them every week. So it just feels like 4 doesn't fit into 3 in the middle there, and a lot of big guns not getting as big as they used to at the Suns. And yeah, just an interesting one to finish off the week, guys. So please come and join me this weekend. I'll be playing, 6 games over the weekend. Probably catching the end of that Cats North Melbourne game as well. So please come join me for some of these ones, guys. And finally, here I've got some of my captain options for the week ahead. So starting us off on Thursday night, Nick Dacos against the Hawks. It's going to be interesting. I'm wondering if Finn McGuinness is going to be tagging him, but we know that he does like to run away from the tag as well. So Nick Dacos, I wouldn't say he's tagless. You can tag him and quell him, but the season he's having, got to put the VC on Nick Dacos this Thursday tonight. Luke Jackson against the Dogs on Friday. Even if Tim English is back, I think Luke Jackson is in some amazing form. I think, Dogs on the ropes a bit last couple of weeks. I think Luke Jackson's going to have a day out on Friday night. Zach Butters on Friday night as well against Adelaide. He's been in some ripping good form the last couple of weeks, hitting regularly close to 35 disposals every week. He's got to get his tackles up a bit, get a bit more open, but his contested work has been awesome the last couple of weeks. Expecting him to run riot against Adelaide. Archie Roberts, obviously, he's been one of the best guys this season so far. It's hard not to put the C or the VC on Archie Roberts at the moment. He's been the main kicking guy down the back and just junking it up. But him against Brisbane, I reckon Brisbane will be an onslaught on the weekend. And if anyone's going to get a piece of it, it's going to be Archie Roberts. Lockie Neal coming off that 159 last week and now against Essendon this week at the G. Expecting the form to continue, expecting a lot of Lions to get busy this week. Will Ashcroft, hopefully Josh Dunkley. McCluggage been a bit off, but would like to see him come good too. Yeah, lots of mouths to feed at the Lions. But Lockie Neal seems to be the biggest one in the last couple of weeks. Bailey Smith, obviously dominating this year against North Melbourne at home. Lock it in. And same with Tristan Cherry away from home at GMHBA Stadium against the Cats Ruckman. I reckon he's going to have an absolute day out there. A couple of Saints here with Nazaya Wanganeen and Callum Wilkie lining up against Carlton. As I said before, St Kilda's been huge for fantasy scores, or forever, to be honest. They love to junk it up. And I think, again, against Carlton on the weekend, it's going to be a big day for a couple of Saints there. Here we go with the Sydney versus Melbourne game. I actually think this is going to be one of the best games of the week. And a lot of big fantasy guns in this one too. So I've got Heaney, Grundy, Gawn, and Cozzy Pickett all in this one. I know there's a lot of captain options for one game, but I generally can't split those four away. Heaney may be coming back from an injury, but I think he's going to be fine and lighting it up at home. Grundy and Gawn in the ruck just going at it. That's going to be very fun to watch on Sunday. And Cozzy Pickett, for the first few weeks, I was not giving him enough respect, and I've stopped that. I have to give Cozzy Pickett some respect now because he has been absolutely dominating in the middle. He is so fast. I'm going to keep saying that all year. He's amazing. So, Cozzy Pickett, give me 120 plus again, please. And finally, there, Lockie Ash, I reckon, at home. Wait, is that home? No, it's not at home. It's at Gold Coast. At Gold Coast, taking a few kick-ins, I reckon, on the weekend. Him and Lockie Whitfield could be getting busy in the back half. I think Lockie Ash is going to get back to some big numbers, kicking in plenty and junking it up on the weekend. So lock him in for a late captain in the final game of the week. So there you have it, guys. A few of my captain options there to finish off this video, and an interesting week ahead. Yeah, please come and join me this week as we watch along with the stats and comment on the games as they play out. Yeah, I'll be here. Please like and subscribe below to know when I'm going live. And yeah, catch another video next week, guys. I'm going to keep doing these, so come and join me on the weekends and stay tuned for the next video. Please like and subscribe below and check out some Game Day Squad. Use the code word MONSTAR to get some free packs and start your card collecting dynasty and a new way to play fantasy, guys. So please check that one out as well. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys tonight for Collingwood vs Hawks. And yeah, cheers.